In my mind, the problem Friedan mentions is the lie that people believe, which is all women are fulfilled by only family and marriage. The lie suggests that if a single career woman with no kids is unhappy, it's because she's not fulfilling her true purpose or her biological destiny. It couldn't possibly be anything work-related. Maybe she's working too much and needs a vacation, or she's got an annoying coworker who's being competitive and making her work environment unpleasant, or she needs a raise, or a promotion, or maybe her male boss is being sexist and she hasn't figured out how to deal with that without jeopardizing her job. Or maybe she has a female boss who is acting jealous and trying to suppress her because she feels threatened by another successful woman. Those things could make a working woman unhappy, right? So why does the mind always go back to tying women to babies? Welcome back to the library. This time I have started reading The Feminine Mystique by Betty Friedan, and I will be discussing chapter 1 today. So grab a drink and stay for the show. By the end of the 1950s, the average marriage age of women in America dropped to 20. 14 million girls were engaged by 17. By 1955, 60% dropped out of college to marry. Then American girls began getting married in high school. So rejoiced Life magazine in a 1956 paean to the movement of American women back to the home. Paean is a noun that means a song of praise or triumph. Friedan mentions statistics about the marriage and dating patterns of 1950s women seeming to skew towards a life of suburban housewife. The Feminine Mystique was published in 1963. 7.25 million women were helping with the war effort by working in munitions factories during World War II while the men were at war overseas. Military husbands came home in 1945 to wives who had been missing them, so the average number of children increased from 2 to 6. She noticed that the women's magazines were happy about this trend, constantly putting the housewife on a pedestal of perfection as the ideal that every American woman should aspire to, and it annoyed her. Friedan felt that the magazines were trying to stifle women and encourage them to drop out of college to get married. I can't claim to know what the magazine companies were thinking at the time as far as how they thought of women, since Friedan only shares her view of what she thinks they were doing. But I do think that selling women home appliances probably helped the magazines gain a good chunk of advertising profit. It is the job of companies to notice trends and then use the trends to drive business. If they know what the population seems to be interested in, that is where they will focus their efforts. The advertisers probably thought that since there was a trend of women in the home, maybe the woman would want some stuff that they could put in their homes. I don't think that the magazines intended to keep women in the home, as there were a lot of women in the magazine industry writing some of the articles themselves. I think the articles in the advertisements for kitchen gadgets may have made some women feel as if there was a subliminal message that they could never leave their kitchens. I remember magazines from when I was a teenager. They usually covered trends or what was hot at the time. Fashion, hairstyles, makeup, celebrity gossip, and relationship tips were a lot of what was included in the magazines like Teen Vogue and Teen Cosmopolitan. They'd have snippets of, "See, celebrities are people too," alongside a picture of a celebrity walking their dog or buying a Starbucks coffee. I remember not taking the magazines seriously. They were just mindless entertainment when I wanted to look at some pictures of things. I did pick up a few things from the magazines like hairstyle and makeup ideas. I only started wearing makeup when I was 16, but it wasn't out of any feelings of insecurity or inferiority. It's okay if you don't believe me. I just liked the pretty colors and it was fun to me. I still feel that way today. I agree that the magazines directed at women can be shallow and vapid, but because I know that, it's easy for me to just toss them aside. Magazines only suggest things that we have the power not to listen to. I don't think blaming magazines for girls having low self-esteem is the answer. I think the answer is to teach girls not to take the magazines seriously. In this day and age, beauty influencers and beauty blogs are kind of taking the place of magazines to influence teenagers. We should also teach teenagers not to take beauty blogs and beauty influencers seriously. They're only doing their jobs when they present you makeup tips and clothing ideas and things like that. You can look at them and learn some stuff from them if you like the makeup tips, kind of like what I did with the magazine. But you don't have to let the beauty influencer or beauty blog make it seem like if you are not exactly like them, then you're bad, because that's not true. Confidence comes from within, not from outside sources. If you keep looking for confidence outside of yourself, you run into problems like low self-esteem because you'll be comparing yourself to others all the time. Stop that. The 21 million reported in the labor force in 1955 represent the average of the varying number at work in each month of the year. Actually, about 28 million worked at some time during the 12 months. 10 million were year-round full-time workers. The rest consisted of part-time workers, some who were housewives who preferred to work only 2 to 3 days a week or part of the day. The lie. All women are fulfilled by only family and marriage. I heard a mother of 4 having coffee with 4 other mothers in a suburban development 15 miles from New York say in a tone of quiet desperation the problem, and the others knew without words that she was not talking about a problem with her husband or her children or her home. Sometimes a woman would say, I feel empty somehow, incomplete. The lie suggests that if a single career woman with no kids is unhappy, it's because she's not fulfilling her true purpose or her biological destiny. It couldn't possibly be anything work-related. Maybe she's working too much and needs a vacation. Or she's got an annoying coworker who's being competitive and making her work environment unpleasant. Or she needs a raise, or a promotion, or maybe her male boss is being sexist and she hasn't figured out how to deal with that without jeopardizing her job. Or maybe she has a female boss who is acting jealous and trying to suppress her because she feels threatened by another successful woman. Those things could make a working woman unhappy, right? So why does the mind always go back to tying women to babies? I know it's a lie because I am a woman who doesn't feel this way. I am the happiest and most fulfilled when I am working. It makes me feel productive and joyful. Even on a bad work day, I'd still rather have gone through that than be a mother. When I see a mother and her kids at the grocery store, even if the kids are well behaved and the mother seems genuinely happy, my first thought is always, thank God that's not me. This lie also perpetuates the reason why women always get asked when we're going to have kids. And if we say no, the person asking goes into... They say cliche things like, you might not like other people's babies, but it'll be different when you have your own baby. Or, every woman I've talked to who says what you do always changes her mind when the kids come along. I've even had someone assume that I have fears of not being a good mother, which prevents me from wanting to try. Just because all women have the capability to carry a child doesn't mean that all of us want to. Can and want have 2 very different meanings. Every time you blink, an English word loses its identity. When I read the sentence from the book, sometimes a woman would say, I feel empty somehow, incomplete. I immediately related to that, despite not having any kids. It's because I knew even when I was a child myself that I didn't like babies. It didn't interest me in the slightest when my mother got pregnant, and it took me a while to get used to my baby brother when he was born. I never asked to hold him or play with him. At school, I preferred the company of toys rather than other kids my own age. It's not like I harbored feelings of hostility towards my brother or other kids, it was more a lack of interest. This lack of interest in children and babies is still true of my personality today. I would never hurt a child, but at the same time I have no desire to raise a child. I was never interested in baby doll toys as a little girl either, nor was I interested in vacuuming like mommy or spending time in the kitchen with my mother. My parents noticed this and always encouraged me to find my own interest. I loved cute, soft things like stuffed animals. Later on, when I discovered Saturday morning cartoons, I embraced the superhero and all the things he fought for, namely truth and justice. I had a doll named Mary, Fozzie Bear from the Muppets, while also having a G.I. Joe, multitudes of toy cars, Batman action figures, Legos, and Transformers. I was an atypical girl, and my parents reinforced to me that it was completely fine. My dad taught me how to wash a car, and I often played catch with various kinds of sports balls, basketball, soccer, and football. My dad taught me how to throw a spiral with the football. I also played tennis. My mom and I watched movies together, and I asked her about makeup, jewelry, and hairstyles. My parents themselves were more traditional in their interests, but they never imposed any of that on me. I always felt like I had a vast amount of interests, and nothing was off limits to me just because I was a girl. The words feminine or masculine are just descriptors to me. They carry no restrictions. I think everyone has a little bit of femininity and masculinity in them, not because we aren't men or women, but because they create balance in a human. This lie that all women are fulfilled by only family and marriage is something that I've always heard but never believed. I am unsure myself where it stems from, but it seems a lot of people take it as gospel truth. It seems insane to me that people wouldn't understand the basic concept that humans are not meant to be grouped into small boxes with small visions dictated to them by society. My parents led by example and showed me that humans were never meant to be stuffed into presupposed boxes, no matter what sex we are. I don't know anyone who would willingly love to be judged by a stranger about what they should pursue in life, yet people do it all the time to others. It's baffling. Fucking ridiculous. If you don't want to be treated that way, why would you think someone else would want to be treated that way? I always hear we are not a monolith. Depending on who is saying it, replace the we with whatever the small box is that the person is rightfully complaining about. So why would we, and why have we, treated men and women as monoliths? Not all of women's problems were created by men, and not all of men's problems were created by women. Stop with the blame already. Just understand the basic concept that as humans, we have brain capacity and desires of the heart, and they are all different. Why is this so hard to understand? Another thing I think of when I hear this lie that all women are fulfilled by only family and marriage is that choice is completely taken out of it. By choice, I mean the ability to decide for yourself what kind of life you want. I think that is the answer to Betty Friedan's question of the problem that has no name. It is that while some women may be fulfilled by family and marriage, every woman should be able to have the choice to decide whether she wants that. We can apply this to men as well, even though Friedan wasn't writing about them. Some men really love domestic life, and they choose stay-at-home dad as a life path. Men often get shamed for this. I disagree with that behavior as well. If it is wrong to shame women for choosing a life of career over family, then it is also wrong to shame men for choosing a life of family over career. Both acts are sexist, and we need to remember that. When we as humans are able to choose our own paths, that's where real fulfillment is found. Thanks for joining me for this Chapter 1 discussion of Betty Friedan's The Feminine Mystique. Remember, choose your own life path. Don't let others put you in a stupid stereotypical box, no matter what you are, no matter what race you are, no matter what sex you are, no matter what the thing is that people are putting you in a box for. Don't listen to them. They're stupid. Just ignore them, and I'll see you on the next video.